Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. Well, she's a dating coach and, of course, an author too, and the author of the book, The Art of Feminine Seduction. No other than Miss Alana McKenzie Page.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for having me. So good to be here.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Alana, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you said, I am professionally a dating coach, and I wrote this book to get my work out there in um, a more packaged, a smaller package, we could say, um, to make it more digestible for a larger amount of people. So, I became an
Me-
author as well.
yes, and Miss Alana McKenzie Page. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. How did your research into mating, dating, and connection shape the concept of feminine seduction in the book?
Yeah, that is a very good question, and the answer is mostly I read other books. Um, uh, so I can mention The Anatomy of Love by Helen Fisher and Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. I think those are pretty common ones, or ones that everyone should have read or should be reading next on their list.
Yes.
And I also watched a lot of things like TED Talks and videos by other dating coaches at the time and articles about, attraction science and relationship psychology and a lot of the stuff that I was trying to figure out for myself, essentially. So the reason I became interested in this was for my own benefit. I was chronically single. I was not uh, able to find a relationship for over a decade. And so I really was questioning, like, what's wrong with me? And so I was really just I was going through anything I could find, like whatever I could lay my hands on, I was soaking it up. Reading, watching, listening. Uh yeah, the research on this book was vast. It was very vast.
Truly vast. And Miss Alana, can you explain the three ingredients: attraction, sexual tension, and emotional connection, and how they work together in your dating system?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my thesis is that for a relationship to work and to have long-term viability, you need those three ingredients. So, first, you have to have attraction. There has to be something about the other person that makes you interested in them. And often that's appearance, but it can sometimes be other things. It can sometimes be personality or their presence, or a combination of all three. But you must have some kind of interest in that person in order for a relationship to even get going. And then the second thing for it to be a romantic relationship, so this is what distinguishes a romantic relationship from a friendship, we could say, or a platonic relationship. And this is where a lot of people are going wrong in dating, by the way, is they're not adding this step of sexual tension. And this is sometimes referred to as chemistry. But what I discovered is that chemistry is not as solid as we tend to talk about it. Like we tend to say like, "Oh, there was no chemistry, between these two people." But the fact of the matter is there often could have been chemistry if a few more steps had been taken, which is outlined in the book. And then the last ingredient, emotional connection, is vital if you're going to have a long-term relationship. So if you are dating for commitment and you are dating for marriage or a long-term partnership, you must have some kind of meaningful emotional connection in order to sustain the attraction and the sexual tension over time. So if you add all those things together and you use those things skillfully in your dating process, you can pretty quickly find someone who is a great fit partner for you, and move into a relationship.
Very well said, Miss Alana. Beautifully articulated. What does reclaiming feminine energy mean in the context of your book, and why is it central to empowerment in dating?
Yes, that's also a great question. So the feminine in the studies that I've done refers to the Taoist or tantric feminine. So it is an energetic principle opposite the energetic principle of masculine energy. And so when you are reclaiming the feminine, it's because in the cultures on Earth right now, we usually are taught that the masculine is more valuable and that that's how we should be. And basically everyone's taught that. I mean, it's not gender biased. It's we are taught that the masculine principles are superior, and so we all learn to get along in the world through them. So I'll give you some examples so that that's not just like a weird statement to make.
Go ahead.
But the masculine principle is action. It's doing, whereas the feminine principle is being. And most of the time in our education systems, in our families, and in the world at large, we're taught that it's better to be taking action and, getting stuff done and being productive rather than resting, for example, or just being in your true energy, like being in your natural state of energy in your own presence. And that's leading a lot of people outside of relationships. It's leading people to feel pretty burned out. And inside of relationships, it's leading to a lot of friction, we can say. Leads to a lot of friction. So the idea about reclaiming the feminine side of life, of existence, is that it's usually the side that we've neglected. And that was absolutely the case for me. I mean, I was living in a lot of effort and action taking and all the things. I mean, it's linear time, right? The feminine is timelessness, so it exists outside of the 24-hour day that we all live our lives by. That time is not very useful for the feminine. And I was just a very regimented and action-oriented person. And when I took that kind of energy to my dating, it backfired basically all the time. And so reclaiming your feminine energy is a way to experience more relaxation in life and in dating. And then that leads to more success in finding love and relationships. So it's very powerful because it is half of, and that's where the empowerment piece comes in that you asked about. It's powerful because you are really reclaiming half of your energy, like half of your natural energy. And for women dating men, it's incredibly powerful as a state of being to become attractive and create more sexual tension and create more emotional connection. So, a relaxed woman is generally much more attractive than a really stressed out and like kind of anxious woman. And so reclaiming your feminine and shifting into the feminine energy principles is just an incredible way to date. And I wanted to share that with the world, I guess. So
Yes.
I put it all in the book.
And what challenges did you face in addressing the term seduction, which some readers, like the one in her 60s, found it triggering?
Mm-hmm. So I find that the word seduction is triggering for many people. And that's actually one of the reasons I used it. Because we all are seducers. um,
Yes.
and many people are just unaware of the ways that they try to get what they want. And in my opinion, people who are like this, who are very triggered by seduction and who kind of don't, they will deny that they engage in it, are often doing it unconsciously, and it's actually more harmful. Um, so people who have really addressed their desire to seduce and their desire to get what they want, right? Like that's really what it's about is can you get what you want? And how do you go about getting what you want? And many people try to get what they want, right? They try to seduce in ways that they have not examined, in ways that they have not made conscious to themselves. And it's often very destructive. It's destructive in their lives and relationships. And so my thought is to make it conscious, is to make the way that you are behaving in a situation where you are trying to get what you want, for example, in dating, a conscious way of being, so that you are making conscious decisions, and rather than being a mess in dating and kind of just trying to manipulate people into giving you what you want, using honesty and integrity and your authentic self and getting what you want through that seduction, through a very natural seduction, rather than faking something, right? Rather than faking your way through something, or telling half truths in order to get someone to do something. Or I can give an example. Like one of my things in dating was to play hard to get, right? My early dating, where I was not experiencing success in relationships. I
Yes.
really thought playing hard to get was the way to go. And so, like, if a man wasn't texting me and I wanted him to, I would ignore him, right? And I thought this would be an effective way to get him to miss me and then text me eventually and fall in love with me. And I'll just give you a spoiler, that never worked. There's never one occasion on which that worked. So it's little things like that. There are little behaviors that we all kind of engage in, um, often, yeah, subconsciously. And they're not helping us get what we want, but we feel like we're doing the right seduction, and we're not. So I want to make it conscious for people, the ways that they are trying to get what they want, and succeeding or not.
Miss Alana, as a dating coach as well as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Ooh, okay. That's a great question. As an author and as a coach. So I would say as a coach, my goal is to help at least 50 new relationships get started this year. And as an author, I would really love to get going on the first draft of my next book. It's been a year in the making, and it's time to get going on the writing process. So, uh, yes, I will see what I can cook up with that.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Alana, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you, as an author as well as a dating coach?
Start writing. Start writing is the best way to become an author. And once you have something written, get support. Those are the two things. So to become an author, you've got to write, and then, um, or I don't know. There are ghostwriters too. That's an option. But if you want to
Yes.
be an author, you have to write, and then I needed a lot of support to make my book happen. So if you don't know what you're doing in the writing world, definitely reach out and talk to someone who can help. And in dating, the advice is first to really learn what you want, get really clear on what you want, and then become it and look for someone who can match you in it.
Well, thank you for that advice, Miss Alana, and can you please recommend a book or books that influence you, Johnny?
Mm. Wow, so many. Well, let's use the ones I already mentioned because those are really they are really powerful books, and I think they changed my life, and I think they a lot of power to change other people's relationships. So that's The Anatomy of Love by Helen Fisher, and also Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. Those two
Nice.
books are relatively revolutionary, even though they're aging now, but they're they're still
Aging,
really, really powerful.
aging, but effective. Oh,
Exactly.
thank you for that recommended books, Miss Alana. And what strategies does your book offer for women to feel safe exploring feminine energy without appearing weak or needy?
Mhm. Yeah, so actual feminine energy is the opposite of weak and needy, which is, you know, why I think it's also important that women engage with that work because we've been sold a narrative that to be feminine means to show up as weak and then often to be needy. And what I would reframe it as is that you don't need to be all powerful. Right?
Yes.
So that's where the being principle comes in, is that we feel like nothing gets done unless we do it, and that's, not the case in the world, and it's definitely not the case in a relationship, especially if you want to have an equal partnership. You really can't do it all by yourself. So in order to be in partnership, we have to often learn to sit back a little bit and come into ourselves and come into our own space rather than always trying to make someone else do something. And then that also kind of cancels out the needy part because it's not about making someone else do something. Um, it is about you recognizing your own needs, right? Again, so that's why I say we always have to start with you recognizing what you really want in a relationship and then and going from there. And then it's like without projecting onto the other person, really creating an amazing relationship with them. Um, and I don't think either of those things require being weak or needy. There is a level of vulnerability needed, and there is a level of being able to trust someone else. So those are kind of like the light sides of a weak and needy is you do have to have vulnerability to be emotionally open, and you also have to have trust in the person who becomes your partner. It's I believe crucial for a relationship to work. So,
Yes.
uh, again, yes, there are ways that it can show up in a really unskillful or unhelpful way, but um, the opposite side of that is that those are two qualities that you really do need for a relationship to function.
Definitely, Miss Alana. How did finding the one influence the final message of the art of feminine seduction?
Ooh, how did it influence the final message? You know, I think in a way it's influenced it completely, and hasn't influenced it that much, if that makes any sense.
Makes
You know,
sense.
because obviously I'm married now, and so obviously it's like the outcome of my dating works, right?
Yes.
It's like, okay, yes, this way of being in relationship because that's one of my principles, right? So feminine energy is about process rather than outcome. So I am in the process of being in relationship. And although I'm married and I have this very like, committed label on my relationship, I have treated him as uh an incredible human from day one, and my commitment is to keep doing that. And I continue to date him. I continue to date my husband and treat him as someone I'm getting to know and that I'm very curious about and that I'm really excited to see. And I'm very committed to that. I'm very committed to continuing to date my husband with feminine seduction. Um, so, in the one way, that's why I say it's everything, like I'm really like, I use feminine seduction every day with my husband. um, and if I hadn't met him and if I hadn't, if life hadn't gone this way and we weren't, building life together, then I would still be doing that. Just it wouldn't be with him, which isn't what I want anymore, but like I would still be able to live feminine seduction as a dating technique, as a way of getting to know people, and being present in a relationship space. So, the message at the end of the book is if I can do it, you can too, because I was
Yes.
really chronically single. When I say chronically single, I mean like it was not good. And for me to be able to become someone who had a great time dating eventually and found someone who I couldn't wait to marry, who also really wanted to commit to me and spend his life with me. Um, it just, there's a message of hope in it, I guess, in the fact that dating can turn around in a pretty drastic way. Even for people who really, like myself, I really thought it was like there was something wrong with me. I was really going to be stuck single forever. So, yeah, there's hope in it, and
There's a
it's
hope.
influenced everything and nothing.
There's a hope, people, and very well said, Miss Alana. Very well said. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in
Wow.
fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in its fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. And Miss Alana, what is the one key takeaway you hope readers gain from the art of feminine seduction to transform their dating and love life?
Yeah, it's really what we just touched on, that they're not broken and that love isn't hopeless, even though it can feel like it. Even though dating can be a really tough arena to be in, love is possible, and changing the way that you experience dating and relationships can happen.
Love is in the air.
Yes.
Oh, Miss Alana, would you be my guest on Love Letters and, of course, Sex 101?
100%. I'd be honored.
Yes. So, people and Miss Alana, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your debut book?
Yeah, this is my first book.
Yes,
Exactly.
debut book.
So
And yes,
it's The Art of Feminine Seduction. You can find it anywhere books are sold. I always love to say you can request it at your local library. And you can also find me online at sovereign-dating.com. Take my quiz, What Love Instinct Are You Missing? And engage with all of my other podcasts and everything I have to offer.
yes, indeed. Yes, people, let's support Miss Alana McKenzie Page, because if you support her, for sure, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Alana, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.